I stopped getting in the way and good things started to happen to me. And in this video, I want to talk about why you may be the person actually preventing blessings from happening to you. And I learned this the hard way. Now, for context, I used to run 3 small businesses. It was an agency where I did marketing, video production, all of that. There was a YouTube channel, and there was my business of building websites. Now, I came to a point where I was burned out. I really, I never wanted to say it, but I was burned out. Even physically, like in my body, it took a toll, and I'm glad I got out of it. And here are some things I've learned. And the first lesson is when you start trusting the universe, however you may call it God, you may give it, I don't know, which name you want to give it. Could be a philosophy, could be the universe, the higher power, call it the way you want. The point is, when you start trusting the entity that created this world and all the metaphysics things you see going around and the nature and everything, when you start trusting that entity with your own life, saying, well, the entity that created fire and water can actually also create stuff in my life that are way easier than creating fire, water, and air. In my case, it was, how do I get out of this situation where I'm burnt out, even though I love being an entrepreneur, but something is wrong here. Also, how do I fix my relationship, which is toxic to say the least, and I'm not happy in that relationship? How do I do this? I have so many dreams, but I feel stuck. I got all these things that are just tying me down. Well, in my case, it started here on YouTube. I basically watched one video. It was about the power of Wu Wei. I think I typed something like how to simplify my life. And I saw that video. It was very simple. It was just talking about the philosophy of Taoism. And don't quote me on this. I'm not an expert and I didn't get deep into the philosophy, but I applied one thing. Don't swim against the current. So when you see that the door is constantly closed and whatever you try, it might even come to the point where it's ridiculous. Why isn't that door opening? Well, you should listen to the universe. The universe is telling you, son, you should look the other way. Instead of going there, just look the other way. And that's where you need to go. But first, in order to do that, you need to be able to listen. And I'm not talking about voices you're going to hear. I'm just talking about basically opportunities that come in your life. When you start observing, you're going to notice it. Maybe it was there the whole time. Actually, for me, the opportunity was there for maybe 2 years before I saw it. But the moment I decided, you know what, dear universe, I don't know who you are, but I need your help. So I'm going to open my ears, my eyes. So please show me. And I will swim with the current this time. It didn't take 1 week. And I'm not trying to say something here, right? It might take a year for you. I don't know. In my case, it was like 1 week later. The opportunity that was always there, I finally saw it. I acted up on it. I don't want to get into too many details now. Maybe I'll do a video on it because I just want you to stay focused on the principle, not on the details. The principle is that once I decided to listen and applied just the simplicity of swimming with the current, I saw the door open. And the whole time I had been looking for complicated doors, and there was a big door open, which allowed me to put the rest of my plan in action. Traveling, visiting multiple countries, different cultures, and basically physically and geographically get away from my environment, which also helped me mentally. Now, another thing I learned, or another situation that I can link to this, is the one. Oftentimes, we're getting in the way. And I want to make things clear. I don't believe in the one. I don't believe there is one person, that's going to be the love of your life for your whole life. Now, that may happen, but that would be the exception, at least in my opinion. What I believe in, though, is that there are multiple ones in your lifetime. Now, these may come across every 3 to 5 to 10 years. It depends on your luck. And what I believe, I'm not saying it's a universal truth, it's just what I believe. What I believe is that when the universe sends you that one person for that time span, it's up to you whether you're gonna mess it up or not. And if you mess it up, you have to wait for the next one. But basically the point is, I don't believe in only one person. But what I was trying to explain and what I realized is that nowadays people get in the way of their own happiness. And you can see it. Like yesterday, I was walking and I realized most people, like when I say most people, it's 8 people out of 10 were walking just looking at their phone. And I remember years ago when I met a girl that was still single, and that's how we started the relationship. We crossed paths. I looked at her, she looked at me, we smiled, and you know how it goes. I don't have to teach you this. And it was great and great memories. And yeah, yesterday I saw, I think it was a girl just before me, and there was a guy, and the scene really looked like what happened to me. Like when I'm saying the scene, there were trees, it really looked similar. So that's why I brought that memory. But these two people were on their phone. I think they were kind of the similar age, like in their 20s. They didn't even look at each other. And that made me realize, of course, it can happen to anyone, but it just made me realize how we're getting in the way of our own happiness. If you're going to be on your phone all the time, then maybe that person could be one of the ones that the universe is sending you, but because you decided to get in the way and basically walk with your phone like a zombie, well, you're missing that opportunity. Now, another thing I learned is that things happen for a reason. It may sound very simplistic, but one event really caught my attention. So some time ago, there was an airplane catastrophe in India, and that's a very sad thing. I think only one person survived, so that's like a miracle. Like everybody else died, but that person survived. I don't know how, I still don't understand, even after listening to him and what people said. But there's another person who stayed alive without even, of course, getting on the plane. It was a woman. I think she's Indian, but she lives in the UK. I think she's a British citizen from Indian descent. So she was visiting family for the holidays. She had to go back to the UK and she missed her flight. Actually, she arrived at the airport. The airplane was still there, but check-in was closed. And she was trying to argue with the people, I assume. And she was probably devastated when people told us, I'm sorry, check-in is closed, you cannot get on the plane. Maybe she could see the plane, because I remember one day I missed a flight, I could see the plane. And I was like, come on, this is so unfair. And this woman probably felt the same way. But little did she know that that would save her life. Actually, I saw a video, I think it was her parents or someone from a family that was like, we were so relieved because she was on the way to the airport, and when they heard the catastrophe, they were trying to reach her, but they couldn't reach her, so they thought she was dead. Now imagine this woman going from being happy to go back or take the plane to I'm missing the flight and thinking, now I need to pay for a ticket again, that's so much money, blah, blah, blah. And then from that state to, whoa, I dodged a big bullet. Because if she had been on time, and actually I love being on time, but in that situation, it's good that she was not on time. If she had been on time, she would be dead. So now it puts everything into perspective. What is the price of a plane ticket versus your life? And oftentimes in life, we go through things, we don't understand when the things are happening. We think this is so unfair. But then down the line, you realize this was actually good. Like women, when we go through a divorce, we see the injustice in today's system in the West, let's be honest. And at that time, you might think, yeah, this is so unfair. But maybe years later, you're a way stronger man mentally, maybe even physically. Maybe you became a millionaire, or even without being a millionaire, maybe you are living your best life, which could not have happened if you hadn't gone through that divorce, as painful as it was. So that's really something I learned, and I'm really eager to know, what have you learned? What have you learned from your own journey, your own experience? I want to know, because when I find these gems, I'm like, what are the gems that other people can share with me? Because I don't believe one person receives everything. So I'm really eager to know. So I would really appreciate if you could share with me in the comments your experience, your tips, or your questions. Don't forget, we're in this journey together. And by the way, this is the best way to keep in touch with me. As for me, I'll see you in the next one.